We are live for the 1000th NosillaCast episode.
Woo!
Party
What
time.
a big time. What big time. I am very excited. Now, Alan called for roll call, so we're going to get that taken care of right away. We've got Alan and Seamus and Kevin and Bruce and... Wait, I can do it. Marty. And Frank and Mike, Jill, Lindsay the daughter. Hi, Lindsay the daughter.
Hey, Linz.
And Mr. Ed, John, Steve, Zoe bringing the bacon, and I think in the bot bar we've got George from Tulsa. Yay!
Yeah. Anyone else that we miss in
Thanks,
the sidebar?
Lindsay.
Thanks, Linz.
I already saved, Alan. I'm good.
You look young for 1000. Yes, you do. Don't look.
I think I've aged a couple of years in the last 24 hours.
I think that came out in one of your one of the inputs. You don't look a day over 900 or 999. Anyway.
All right, should we get started?
I'm
not going to do any work.
It only took you 19 years to get here.
Who?
What you been doing all this time?
Actually, Tom Merritt said that he was sad he didn't get around to making a recording for me, but I think all he should have said was, "You got to 1,000? Hold my beer." I believe he's like at 4,500 or something. He does a daily show, so.
Yeah, that's hard to compare. But has he been going for 19 years? I don't think so.
Not continuously.
Not with the same podcast, that's for sure.
But essentially the same show.
Yeah, well, I guess he kind of started off with TV, didn't he?
Yeah, but he did. Oh gosh, what was his first show?
It was with Leo, wasn't it?
It was
No,
yeah.
it was
with
Amber?
Molly Wood.
Oh, Molly. Okay.
That was she was her. Does anyone know why you're in the bot bar?
Well, let's see.
It's how you joined,
Yeah.
probably whether you logged in. I think if you don't log in, you're in the bot bar.
I think if you come in through the NosillaCast live page and enter Discord through that, I think you come in as in the bot bar.
Well, he might not be bot bar though.
Well, I don't see him in
'Cause
live show
Jill-
listen. Oh,
No,
maybe
but
he's just
Jill's
not in
over
live
there
show
too.
listen.
Yeah. Hey, George, say I hear you. Type I hear you if you can hear me.
Well, he could hear
Oh,
you.
he's answering us. So he is in live show listen,
Okay.
but he's not showing up in there. But Pilot Pete just snuck in under the wire. Buzz out
Pilot
loud. That's what it
Pete.
was.
Yes.
Okay, George hears us, so he is in live show listen.
Well, he
don't
could
know.
be listening on YouTube or podfeet.com.
Podfat?
Podfat after 1,000 shows. What do you think?
I don't know. Someone else have to.
Yeah, so let's ask, are you listening through, George, are you listening through the web page or are you listening through Discord?
Oh, that's a question. Maybe that's it.
Because that doesn't destroy my theory yet. He's listening through his ears. Thanks, Marty. I think it's going to be one of those shows. Yeah, he's on the web page. So I think that confirms my theory that if you get into Discord through the web page or the podfeet.com/live page, you'll come in the sidebar. You haven't come into the live show listen.
Well, no, he is in live show listen because he can hear us. So he's definitely in live show
He
listen,
may
but
be
it's
hearing you.
getting in through the web page is the difference. I think you're right.
All right.
I think that's it.
All right. I'm not sure you hear the Discord feed. I guess the question is
Here?
it delayed? I don't know if
Oh.
you automatically get into live show listen when you get in through that page.
Okay, because you don't have a Discord account, so you show in the sidebar. But you're full-fledged. You're chatting. We see you.
Yeah, we see
You're
you.
good. You're good. The problem is the sidebar has a lot of people who have maybe come here once. Like Barry Falk is in there, and he's not in the show. Ian Princeton. Ian is here. Oh, hi, Ian. Jerry Jr. I don't even remember who that is. Nuclear John. He used to come. He's in the sidebar. Oet Grunnen, which is Yop, I think.
The sidebar just shows if you're logged into Discord, not if you're listening to this particular podcast or episode.
Yeah.
Through Discord.
All right. Well, let's
All right.
start the show. What do you think?
Enough. Yeah.
All right. Here goes. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast Apple Podcast. Why did I read it that way? Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast Podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple. I missed it. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast Podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Wednesday. Good Lord. It's not Wednesday.
The show 1000 starting off with a bang. That's all I can say.
This is what happens when I start the show notes early.
Yeah.
Sunday, but it really
Sunday,
matters that this
July
be right because
7th.
this is every single link in the show is wrong because of that. 2, 3. Four, 5. There are 5 places it's wrong. That's an automation that ran on Wednesday. All
When I
right.
first created that. Okay, let's go.
All right. Places, everyone. I'm going to turn the music down just a little bit. And I'm going to turn I think my voice is, oh no, I'm going to do this. All right. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast Podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, July 7th, 2024, and this is show number 1000! Woo! Well, you know, when Dave Hamilton hit 1,000 with the Mac Geek Gab, he said, we're not going to make a big deal out of it. Yeah, that's not how we're doing it here. This can be mostly a party show, but it will be me explaining some big changes I've just made to the podcast feeds, as well as security bits for the second half of the show. Before we get started, though, I wanted to let you know that next week we'll be going to Macstock, so the show will come out early on Wednesday, July 10th. Everybody say it now. What does that mean? There will be no live show next Sunday, the 14th of July.
No
Right.
live show July 14th.
Okay. All right. Not yet. Do this. Steve, get ready to count chapters.
Yeah.
I think it's not going to be possible to count them. They may be uncountable.
It's higher than I can count.
Yeah, maybe. Copy link. Oh, no. Shoot. It's like I've never done the show before. Copy link. All right, now I can go to this. Here we go. Maybe she can crash the Mac Geek Gab. Who knows? All right. Just a bit ago, I told you that my Screencast Online tutorial video on the foundations of using Notability had been posted, and I teased that the advanced Notability tutorial would be hot on its heels. Well, it's out, and in this advanced tutorial, I'll show you how you can take notes with pencil or with a keyboard while recording the audio you're hearing, and then go back and tap on a note and have the audio played back right where you were writing that note. It is crazy cool. I recorded the keynote for WWDC in Notability while I was taking my notes, while I was typing notes, and it came in really handy when Bart and I were debating when a certain piece happened, whether it was part of the Apple Intelligence part or whether it was part of the core technologies. And I was able to go in and find out exactly where it was by tapping and then listening to exactly what they said and reading a transcript, all created in Notability. I teach you how to do that in this Screencast Online tutorial. I also do go through some more advanced tools like the zoom box for where you're writing and precision drawing with the ruler. I'll walk you through how to organize your notes into subjects and dividers too. My favorite part of the tutorial is where I show you how you can handwrite and have it automatically be converted to beautifully typed text notes. Nope, forgot to say math. My favorite part of the tutorial is where I show you how you can handwrite math, like equations, and have it automatically be converted to beautiful typed text notes in the language LaTeX. That's different than what Apple's going to be able to do. No shade on them. What they're doing is really cool too. But this is very different in what Notability can do. Now, remember, after you watch this teaser video that I embedded in the show notes, if it sounds like fun to watch the full video, you can head on over to screencastonline.com, sign up for the free 7-day trial where you can watch this video, the Foundations tutorial on Notability, and all of the current back catalog. Okay, let me check this little audio thing here. Writers too. My favorite part of... There we go. Thank you, Kevin. All right. Close that one. Chapter mark 2.
This looks different.
What does?
I don't see the normal link.
Yes, it does look different.
Maybe you'll tell us about that.
Maybe I will. In this week's Programming by Stealth, we have the second and final installment about YAML. Bart teaches us how to write multi-line strings and how to not write multi-line strings. He teaches us about string blocks, which is a bit head-bendy, at least it was for me, but this allows you to write human-readable strings and yet also tell YAML what to do with things like empty lines and whitespace. After that slightly heavy lift, we learn about how to write much simpler-looking sequences and mappings than the way we learned in our introduction to YAML in PBS 168. It's really nifty how you can write them in compact, sensible forms and even easily combine separate YAML documents into the same sequence or mapping. Finally, we learned how to use the YQ language to query JSON, CSV, XML files, and more using a language that uses JQ syntax, so you'll feel right at home because we just finished learning about JQ. You can subscribe to Programming by Stealth in your podcatcher of choice or follow the link to Bart's fabulous tutorial show notes. I'm not going to do a chapter there. So articles will not be a chapter.
Okay.
Now that we've got the business of the show taken care of, Steve would like to take over the microphone. This is going to be a long show, just in case you're wondering. The microphone. Oh, I guess there I need a chapter mark, though. And the chapter marks will mostly not be, will not be blog posts. Okay. The microphone.
Hi, Allison. This is husband Steve. I'd like to congratulate you on producing your 1000th episode of the NosillaCast podcast. What an accomplishment. When you first picked up a microphone back in May of 2005, neither of us had any idea where this podcast adventure would take us. Since then, you've produced a podcast every week for 1,000 episodes without missing a beat, albeit with a little help from your friends Bart Bouchatz, Alistair Jenks, Katie Floyd, and Chris Ashley. That's a rare feat in the podcasting community, and one of which you can be quite proud. As I look back, I think the most meaningful NosillaCast development over the past 1,000 episodes is the community that has grown up around you and the new group of friends we've come to know because of your podcast. Throughout this period, the NosillaCast community has provided their support, content for your show, and a lot of good times. I'm a believer that the community that forms around a podcast reflects the personality of the podcast host, and I think that's why the folks in the NosillaCast community are interesting, informed, and caring people, a reflection of you, Allison. You and I consider many of the NosillaCast community members as friends, even though we haven't met them in real life. We've also traveled across the U.S., the Atlantic, and the Pacific to meet and get to know some of these friends in person, like your co-host Bart, my wingman Kevin, and your wingwoman Sandy. I know you've thoroughly enjoyed each one of these meetups as much as I have, and I also know you look forward to many more wherever they may take us. I'm so pleased you started and stayed with the NosillaCast, for without it, just think of the community and friendships we'd be missing. So again, Allison, congratulations on achieving 1,000 wonderful episodes of the NosillaCast. I'm extremely proud of what you've accomplished, and I'm very pleased to see the NosillaCastaways evolve into the thriving, kind, and supportive community that surrounds us today. Well, I'll sign off for now, but you can rest assured that I will stay subscribed, at least for another 1,000 episodes.
That was fantastic, Steve. I'm going to add one correction and then do a little bit of chit-chat here. Or not a correction, an addition.
At least for another 1,000 episodes.
Well, Steve, that was really great. I loved it. I do want to add to the list of people who made the show come out every single week. That was the MyMac guys. You remember they took over the show one time too. Well, I got to tell you, the rest of you, one of the biggest surprises of doing the NosillaCast has been how much Steve has gotten involved in the show. It used to be just me kind of doing my own thing, but over time, he's taken over production of the live show and, of course, all the work he does on the video interviews that he produces for us. What you may not know is how much of our daily chores Steve has taken over, especially since we've retired, leaving me a lot more time for the podcast. He does the grocery shopping, the cooking, he pays all the bills, he organizes all of our travel. But don't worry, I still wax his car. Now, to say he's the wind beneath my wings would sound trite, especially since it's really the wind above your wings that lifts you up. But I will say he's my partner in this endeavor, and I wouldn't be doing this show at all without his support. All right, well, looks like Steve wants the microphone back. Don't you love how he always introduces himself as Husband Steve as though maybe I'll forget? All right. Okay, I got that one done. I'm at 0 now. These are all carefully numbered groupings. Maybe I'll forget.
This is Husband Steve again. A few weeks ago, I sent out a request to folks in the NosillaCast community to provide a brief audio recording to commemorate the 1000th NosillaCast episode. I was pleased to see how many people responded, 35 in all. I'm pretty certain Allison will very much appreciate hearing all of your comments. Your feedback reminds me of how much I enjoy being part of the NosillaCast community. So what you and Allison are about to hear is the full collection of the audio inputs I received. I've grouped them in no particular order for Allison to play. I'll briefly introduce everyone in each group before their comments are played. So buckle up and settle in for several minutes of feedback from the NosillaCastaways.
All right. So.
And by several, we mean over a half hour.
Let's see. So let me see.
Like probably 35 minutes worth.
I think so. Okay, let me. So this is going to be group 0. So I wasn't going to make a chapter mark for that explanation.
Yep, I don't think it needs it.
Okay. So I don't know how you're going to count these. We should just at the end make sure we have a 0, or we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Right.
Okay.
The NosillaCastaways. NosillaCastaways. This is Husband Steve again. A few weeks ago, I sent out a request to folks in the NosillaCast community to provide a brief audio recording to commemorate the 1000th NosillaCast episode. I was pleased to see how many people responded. 30.
Wait a minute. Did I just do that
I think
twice?
I think you just repeated.
Okay, good. I was going to say, why did you say that again?
I don't introduce myself 3 times.
Okay, just twice. Okay. Okay, here we go.
It should be group 1.
Yeah, that's what my chapter mark said. I just plopped in the wrong one. Okay.
All right. NosillaCastaways. First up, we have Marty Gensius, who we know as Drunk Nick Nolte, in our NosillaCast live show chat room, Tim Genvik, a.k.a. Doc Tim, my wingman Kevin, who is big in Virginia, friend from Germany Klaus Wolf, local friend Norbert Fraza, and Mike Price, a.k.a. Grumpy.
This is Marty Gensius, a.k.a. Drunk Nick Nolte of the Castaways, and from thepodtalk.net. I got a knock-knock joke for you. Knock-knock. Who's there? Nozilla. Nozilla who? Nosillabrate 1,000 episodes with Allison Sheridan. Okay, I've finally risen to your level of humor. Congratulations on your 1,000th episode.
Hi, this is Tim Genvik. Congratulations to Allison on her 1000th NosillaCast podcast after more than 19 years. Although I came for the Apple content, my favorite podcasts are those where Allison interviews folks like Dr. Andrea Ghez on the galaxy's black hole or Dr. Marianne Gary on issues of neuroscience and memory. While they are not at all Apple related, these illustrate Allison's many interests despite her slight Apple bias. Here's to many more years of her podcasting.
Well, hello, Podfeet, Allison, Steve, my wingman, and all the Nosilla castaways. Well, you've reached a big mile marker, 1,000 shows. It's quite an achievement in the podcasting world, and I'm very proud to have been a small part of the show for all the years that I've been around. Thank you for all the product reviews, all the friendships that have been made, and to allow me to enjoy what you put out. It's cost me some money over the years, to be sure, but I'm not the only one it's cost money. But there have been a lot of other people that have brought some joy and happiness to the show. Bart with his security bits, Sandy with her fun and stuff that she shared with us and always in the chat room, and so many others. I don't want to forget anybody, so I won't go into too much detail, but I want to thank all my friends that I've made in the chat room over the years, and truly appreciate everybody. But a big congratulations to you, Allison. It takes a lot to get there, but I know the real power behind the show is Steve, because he and I truly know what makes the show go. Congratulations, and keep up the great work, and looking forward to the next 1,000 episodes.
Herzlichen Glückwunsch zu eurer 1000. Podcast-Ausgabe. 1000 episodes. What an amazing achievement. Thank you so much for your kindness, generosity, countless hours of entertainment, the immense knowledge you've shared, but most important of all, for the community you've started. You're amongst the most approachable podcasters I know, and I couldn't imagine a week without you.
Congratulations, Allison, on 1,000 episodes. That's a major accomplishment, and I'm so happy that you decided to pick up a microphone so many years ago. When the NosillaCast hits my podcaster player of choice, it always goes to the top of the list. Each episode never fails to either teach me something new, challenges me to use my tech in a different way, or sometimes just makes me laugh out loud. I feel like an extra lucky Nosilla castaway because we both live in Southern California, so it's only a hop, step, jump, and a quick drive down the 405 freeway to catch lunch together with you and Steve. It's always fun to catch up on our lives, plus roam the local Apple store like little kids trying out new toys. In addition, it's always fun to share new experiences with new tech each year at CES. I will even tolerate you telling me what I should have for breakfast each morning in Vegas when we all get together at the pantry. Overall, I want you to know how much I appreciate you, Steve, and the NosillaCast. Unfortunately, I did not start listening with episode 1, but I look forward to listening to the next 1,000 episodes. I know I not only speak for me, but probably for a lot of my fellow castaways, but thank you. Cheers to you, and again, congratulations.
Hi, Allison. Mike Price, or Grumpy here. I just wanted to call in to congratulate you on such a huge accomplishment of making 1,000 shows. Wow. And I wanted to thank you for the many years of entertainment and education that you've provided to all of us over the years, and for making such a wonderful family at podfeet.com. I'm looking forward to many more shows, maybe even another 1,000. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Those were great. Okay, let me...
Maybe even another 1,000. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, I don't know if I'm going to do another 1,000, but hey, there's nothing stopping me now. That's for sure. I'm just immediately overwhelmed with all the great things you people have said. And but looking at the number of people we're going to hear from, I can't possibly address all of these wonderful comments. So I'm going to hold my overall thoughts until the end. What were you trying to say, Steve? Sorry.
Nothing. Just interrupting.
Well, you didn't know I was going to hit right into it.
No, I didn't.
So that's okay. Let's see.
I was just checking to make sure. All right. Group 2, yeah. Right.
This is how we'll keep everybody here. It looks like the people from the live chat room are interspersed, so they have to wait till their bid is heard.
Yeah, and we're not going to tell you when you're up.
Nope. Until the end.
Next, we have inputs from longtime...
Hi, this is husband Steve. I'm kidding. He didn't say that
Hey.
until the end.
Next, we have inputs from longtime contributor George from Tulsa, Jill from the North Woods, host of the Start with Small Steps and the Buzz, Blossom, and Squeak podcasts, Alan, a.k.a. Zappery, in our chat room, John Ormsby, better known as NASA Nut, physics nerd Graham, and local friend Bodie Grimm, host of the Kilowatt podcast.
George from Tulsa here to congratulate Allison, Steve, and all the castaways who've contributed content that keeps the NosillaCast interesting. I discovered the NosillaCast when I was fleeing malware-infected Windows for the haven of Mac. The show was invaluable. Even more was the personal touch as Allison went above and beyond to respond to emailed questions and help my conversion. Allison's always been my queen of podcasting. With 1,000 episodes in the vault and a new millennium starting, I think she's due for a promotion. Long reign Allison, the empress of podcasting.
Congratulations on 1,000 episodes. I am stunned at all the hard work and amazing things you've done to accomplish this. I can't even begin to list the many ways you've made my life so much better. From listening to your podcast, but from knowing you too. And teaching me about podcasting and all the advice you gave me along the way. Thanks for everything, and thank you for the 1,000 episodes of work that you have put in. Still, my favorite memory is when you said hi to me when I joined your Slack channel, and I thought you were an automatic Slack response AI robot, greeting me for joining this account. You ended up being a real person. Wow, I'm glad you were a real person. And I look forward to the future and all the amazing things you will tell us and the great stories about what technology failed you and how you found out how to fix it, or the many ways I can spend my money.
Hi, this is Alan, and I just want to say congratulations on your adoption show. What a year it has been, and I just want to keep short and sweet. Thank you.
Allison, NASA Nut here. Congratulations on making it to 1,000 episodes of the NosillaCast. I haven't been with you since the beginning, but I've been around for several years. I've especially enjoyed sitting in on the live shows, watching the sausage being made, and chatting with everyone that joins in. Although I've only met a few in person, they have become my digital family and you as our digital mom, and I consider myself honored to be a NosillaCastaway. While I don't always agree with your opinion on certain subjects, spaces for example, I do value your input, as misguided as it may sometimes be. I also appreciate your thoroughness, such as mapping every one of the iOS settings. Not only have I made some new friends, I've learned many things while listening to your show and love the segments on security bits and tiny tips, among others. Thanks again for the wonderful show, and hope you have another 1,000 episodes in you.
Since Allison appeared on Mac Power Users, I started listening to the NosillaCast and settled into the community. It's so nice to have a friendly community around the wonderful tech that's just about enjoying ourselves and sharing and caring. So, thanks for everything. With love, from Graham.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to take a real quick moment of your time and congratulate Allison and Steve on reaching an incredible milestone, 1,000 episodes of NosillaCast. It's my Monday morning go-to podcast. I realize they recorded on Sunday, but I listen on Monday morning. I get so much value out of hearing Allison tackle all of the technical issues that she experiences and hearing from other NosillaCastaways. And one of my favorite segments is Bart's Security Bits. So congratulations, Allison and Steve. And on a personal note, I have known Steve and Allison for a few years now, and they've been incredibly kind and supportive and loyal friends. So I feel truly blessed to know them. And I don't know how to end that without being weird. So thank you both for being great friends. It means a lot. Was that too awkward?
Okay, that is classic Bodie.
A lot. Was that too awkward?
Oh my gosh. I know I said I was going to comment on any of them, but that is classic Bodie right there.
That's Bodie.
All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to give you some actual interesting content for the wait, that makes it sound not interesting. All right, we're going to switch gears briefly here for me to tell you about some changes coming to the podcast. All right. That was great. Alan, you made your debut here. That's fantastic. Oh, come on. Has anybody here noticed that sometimes lately on the Mac you copy and it doesn't? Like you go to paste it and there's nothing there? Okay, Jill noticed it. Bart mentioned it to me. I was like, that happens to me all the time.
Yeah, I
okay,
always
Zoe
assumed
noticed
that
it too.
It was the context in which, what I was copying to or from that just didn't like it.
Bruce says it's been there for years. No, it's like you go back and you copy it again and then it does work. Really annoying. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Actually, I should probably I'm going to take that off here because I did say it there. All right, here we go. Well, now that we've cleared the 1,000 mark on the NosillaCast, I'd like to tell you about some changes coming to the podcast, and I promise you, they're all good when the dust all settles. Well, of course, we got to start with the problem or problems to be solved. In order to explain the problem, I have to wind back time and explain how we got where we are today. Back in 2005, I started the NosillaCast. Now, okay, you probably remember that part. But one day, a gentleman named Bart Bouchat sent me a comment, and then a review, and then another review. And then somewhere along the way, we decided to start chatting on the air. He whimsically named our conversations Chit Chat Across the Pond because he's across a very big pond from me over in Ireland. At the time, these chats were not a standalone show. They were part of the NosillaCast. Bart would first give us security bits and then talk about whatever suited his fancy for Chit Chat Across the Pond. My shows had been much shorter back then, so having these little chats with Bart helped round the show out and everything was dandy. And then one day, Bart got sick. Too sick to do Chit Chat Across the Pond with me. Rather than have the show disappear, I started having other guests on with me. It was great fun, but we all really missed Bart. When Bart finally recuperated after many months, he said he really liked hearing the other voices, and maybe it would be fun if he was only on Chit Chat Across the Pond maybe every other week. And everything was dandy. On April 14th, 2013, Bart started the series Taming the Terminal. It was part of our Chit Chat Across the Pond series, but Chit Chat Across the Pond was part of the NosillaCast, and the NosillaCast included security bits before Chit Chat Across the Pond. Are you starting to see where things stop being dandy? Well, imagine you wanted to listen to, say, Taming the Terminal Part 33 about SSH bookmarks. You'd have to go to NosillaCast number 520, scroll through the audio from me, then the security bits audio, and only then could you find Taming the Terminal Part 33. And this was all before, I think it was before I had chapter marks. All right, when Taming the Terminal completed in October of 2015, after 406 episodes of the NosillaCast, I finally spun Chit Chat Across the Pond off as its own show. Now, this was a good time to cleave the content from the NosillaCast because Bart was ready to start programming by stealth. If you go back to that first episode, you'll notice it's Chit Chat Across the Pond number 407 because I had painstakingly gone back and counted all of the non-standalone segments of the Chit Chat Across the Pond inside the NosillaCast. When we had completed Taming the Terminal, Bart and I re-recorded the intro of every single piece without the Chit Chat Across the Pond stuff at the front, and Steve painstakingly stitched that audio together and made a sensible feed for Taming the Terminal to be a standalone podcast. Since it was evergreen content, that worked out great. Now, this madness continued, though, where the Chit Chat Across the Pond feed was super uneven. One week you'd have Dr. Gary on talking about how faulty our memories are and destroying our dreams, and the next week you'd hear Bart explaining how to use mustaches in JavaScript. At this point, we had the NosillaCast, Chit Chat Across the Pond, plus Taming the Terminal, so 3 podcasts. In March of 2017, I decided to cleave the shows yet again. I wrote a post called 3 Chit Chat Feeds Are Better Than 1, where I explained the problem to be solved and announced 3 podcasts, Chit Chat Across the Pond, Chit Chat Across the Pond Lite, and Programming by Stealth as their own shows. To make sure you're still following along, as of last week, we've still got the NosillaCast, Taming the Terminal, Chit Chat Across the Pond Light, Programming by Stealth, and then Chit Chat Across the Pond Light and Programming by Stealth, both inside Chit Chat Across the Pond feed. Every time I have to explain this to someone, I really struggle to make it clear. Now, here's another thing that's been nagging at me about this mess that made sense as I built it piece by piece, but gets harder and harder to explain. Programming by Stealth has two homes. Every time we have an episode of Programming by Stealth, you'll hear me on the NosillaCast telling you to go to podfeet.com to listen. But then I also tell you to go read Bart's fabulous tutorial show notes over at pbs.bartificer.net. Well, when you get to pbs.bartificer.net, you don't just get the fabulous tutorial show notes, you also get the audio embedded on the same page. And on that page, Bart points back to podfeet.com and the link I have to the podcast. So answer me this. Why do I send people to podfeet.com at all for this show? What value does it bring to the listeners and readers of Programming by Stealth? Why not just have it be at pbs.bartificer.net? That would make more sense. Now, let's talk about Chit Chat Across the Pond Light. Over the years, it's become more and more obvious to me that there's one part of podcasting that I seriously dislike. It's the process of asking people to be on my show. I have to think up somebody to have on, and they have to think up the hook to have them on. What are we going to talk about? What's their thing that makes them interesting? Let's say I've got a great guest idea, and I know what I'd like to talk with them about, but there's still a hurdle. What time and date will we chit-chat? What if there's a big time zone difference? What if they have a jobby job? What if I have to go back and forth 12 times to find a good time? After having Nobel Prize-winning astrophysicist Dr. Andrea Ghez on the show, followed immediately by climate scientist and geologist Dr. Jason Briner, I did those two shows back to back. I sort of did a mic drop on doing more interviews. I've done a few here and there, but they take monumental energy out of me. Just a thing I really don't like having to do, and I procrastinate about asking people to be on the show. I don't have that kind of producer to book people for me, a booker. That's probably what I would need. But don't worry, that's not where I'm going. All right, we're almost done going over the problems to be solved, but I have one more. On weeks when Bart is on the show with security bits, I find I have a lot more time to enjoy my life. Technically, I'm supposed to be retired, but on the off-Bart weeks, I have to work a lot of hours to keep up this pace. I keep looking for things to cut back on to give myself some actual free time. I mean, I still got to wax Steve's car, I don't have that kind of time. I haven't power washed my driveway in months. It's terrible. All right, after 1,000 words explaining what bothers me about this structure I created is all my fault, I'm finally ready to tell you the solutions I've come up with. I should mention that there's a handy-dandy diagram to explain all of these changes if you're more of a visual person. The first solution is the easiest to explain. Programming by Stealth will no longer be part of Chit Chat Across the Pond. If you've been subscribed to Chit Chat Across the Pond to get both the light content and the Propeller Beanie Programming by Stealth content in one feed, you're going to have to subscribe directly to Programming by Stealth. Steve, could you change the word beaning to beanie?
I'm not sure I've been following along, but
just do a search for BEANING. Beaning. It should be beanie.
Beanie. Oh, beaning versus beanie.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a second one that I remember what it was. This one's got to be harder. Let me know when you got that one.
Oh, this.
I do love power washing. So do you have that one?
Hold on.
I hear him typing away in his little find thing. Have I missed any fun?
So you want being?
Beaning should be beanie.
BENNIE?
No.
BENNY?
It should be a beanie.
Spelling.
BEANIE.
Oh. I don't know. Spell BEANIE.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Next.
This is going to be harder. Look before where you found that for the word went. I used it it's the wrong form of the verb is typed in there. I said it correctly in the show, but I noticed it as I was reading it. That one's going to be harder.
When you say before, like 10 minutes before, the paragraph before? Just before?
Somewhere before this text, in the top. Well, we're only like a third of the way through, so it was somewhere in the top.
Anywhere before.
Command F on the word went, and if you see one that's the wrong conjugation of the verb, change it to what it should be.
I see one match. Painstakingly went back and counted all. Sounds okay to me.
That's the only one?
That I see, yeah. Went. Maybe you misspelled
weird.
went.
Okay. Maybe it was something else. All right.
All right, we're out.
We're good. I'm going to save. Where was I? Subscribe directly to Programming by Stealth. Okay. Sausage. All right. When you're listening to Programming by Stealth, you will no longer first have to hear what Chit Chat Across the Pond episode it is before hearing the Programming by Stealth title. That makes more sense too. All of the links in the podcast feed will go directly to the episode on pbs.bartificer.net, and there is no longer a standalone blog post on podfeed.com. I'll still tell you about the episode. You just heard me do it already during the NosillaCast. So no more bouncing around but between sites to get the content. Now, Bart has made some changes to the way it looks. It now says it used to say a Bartificer creation. Now it says a Bartificer Podfeet co-creation. And there's a little about page that talks about the two of us. So it's our site. He manages it. The way I manage the podcast, he manages all the text part of it. And so it's great. We're both really happy we did this. Now, this makes my life mildly easier because I'll no longer have to double post the same audio content to two different feeds and scrape off the Chit Chat Across the Pond name from the front of the title over on the Programming by Stealth feeds. Now, that was pretty easy. It wasn't too painful, and it makes a lot more sense, right? All right. One of the hardest things to explain after Programming by Stealth is why I have a show called Chit Chat Across the Pond Light. How can learning about black holes be considered light anyway? Since Programming by Stealth won't be in the Chit Chat Across the Pond feed, now it can be the light version without having to use the name light. Now, Dr. Gary's wife has always complained about people who spell light L-I-T-E. It's like, really? G-H versus the T-E? You only saved one letter and you spelled it that way. She yelled at me for using it once. So she'll be very happy for that too. So I hope Mrs. Gary is happy with that. All right. So no Chit Chat Across the Pond light feed, only a Chit Chat Across the Pond feed. Now, when I was rolling this idea around with Bart, he assured me that there was a relatively simple way to fold the light feed into the regular Chit Chat Across the Pond feed so you wouldn't have to do anything different to keep getting your content. Now, Bart held my hand, and we actually followed the instructions at Apple's website. So this is this sounded easy, and when I wrote up the show notes, I said it was easy and it worked, but there's more to the story. So it wasn't hard, but it's conceptually kind of a mind bender. The trick of this process is that for my files, the podcast feed, to teach your podcatcher that the Chit Chat Across the Pond light feed moved. So if you look at your podcatcher today, you should see Chit Chat Across the Pond where you used to see Chit Chat Across the Pond light. In fact, if you were subscribed to both feeds, you probably see Chit Chat Across the Pond in there twice. Now, you can safely delete one. I'm not sure. I would wait a little bit and see what happens because I might make one more change. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm going to make one more change right after this show is done recording. You're also going to see a bunch of Programming by Stealth episodes since the last time I posted a Chit Chat Across the Pond light was back in late April. So the top of the feed will look like it still has Programming by Stealth, and maybe I'll go along and clean those up. But after today, you won't get any new Programming by Stealth episodes in Chit Chat Across the Pond. So for the nerds amongst us, there were 2 steps to accomplishing this so far. I needed to add a 301 redirect to my web server's configuration file, telling the podcatcher that if they came looking for the light feed, here's the full Chit Chat Across the Pond feed instead. This is essentially the same redirect process I used to redirect you to, say, like our Slack channel by going to podfeed.com/Slack. The reason everything good starts with podfeed.com is because I use these redirect thingies. The second step was weirder. And this is where things have actually gone pretty wrong. Anyway, you get the podcast in your podcatcher because of a small XML text file, I should say, which is also called the podcast feed. In that text file, if you're subscribed through something like Pocket Cast or Overcast, everything is dandy by that 301 redirect. However, Apple wants you to do something different. In that text file, Apple told us that you need to add a tag that tells the iTunes directory that this is a new feed. So in the Chit Chat Across the Pond feed, I had to tell it this is a new feed. So as your podcatcher looked for the podcast with the normal RSS feed, it would start there, but then it would get directed over to this new feed, and it tells iTunes, oh, just start using this one from now on. Don't use that old light feed. You're now on the new feed. Now, while this technically did work, it didn't work nearly as well as I thought. As I mentioned, if you're subscribed to Chit Chat Across the Pond and to the Light feed, you now have 2 copies of Chit Chat Across the Pond. In Apple Podcast Connect, which is where podcasters manage their shows in Apple's ecosystem, I also saw 2 copies of Chit Chat Across the Pond. But it got weirder. So I create my feed file using an application called Feeder from Steve Harris of Reinvented Software. You're going to hear him complain in the recordings in a little bit about how much I annoy him, but he deserves it. Anyway, I added that new little feed URL to the Chit Chat Across the Pond feed file manually to test it out, and it worked like a champ. But then I needed to make sure Feeder didn't override that and remove the tag. Steve told me where to put it in the app, but it didn't actually work properly. It would eventually disappear. It would be there, but then it would disappear. So when I pushed another episode, it would break it. So I had 2 Macs open that both push and pull from Feeder, and I thought maybe that's what was causing it. So I had the 2 Macs open. I was on my MacBook Pro and my MacBook Air at the same time. They both had the app up. I was refreshing, pulling, pushing, and I made the worst possible mistake I could have made. I put that new feed URL iTunes tag for Chit Chat Across the Pond in the NosillaCast feed. So then I pushed it to the web. Instantly, the NosillaCast disappeared from iTunes, anything iTunes related. They call it iTunes still, but Podcast Connect, the NosillaCast was gone. iTunes, and in the podcast app, the NosillaCast was gone. But guess what? There's now 3 copies of Chit Chat Across the Pond in the podcast app and 3 copies of Chit Chat Across the Pond in the Podcast Connect app. So I did realize what I'd done very, very quickly, but undoing it was essentially impossible because this action erased the NosillaCast from Apple's perspective, or at least I thought it did. I had to recreate the show in Apple Podcast Connect, which wasn't difficult. But now that feed says that the show started in 2024 instead of 2005. I mean, on the bright side, maybe I'll get promoted under top new podcast, but I've also lost all of my ratings. So the first bad part of that is that every single person who subscribed to the NosillaCast through Apple Podcasts now had to notice and resubscribe. Now, again, if you subscribe through any other podcatcher, you should be undisturbed because they simply look at the RSS feed file. So right before the show, and I'm winging this right now, it gets even weirder. I went back and looked at those 3 copies of Chit Chat Across the Pond, and one of them is the original NosillaCast. It has the right start date. It's got the right ID. It's a shorter number. It's only 8 digits instead of 10 because the show's so old. It's got all of my ratings in it. And I realized I can edit that and change the feed to the NosillaCast feed and then delete this brand new one I just created yesterday. So I'm recording right now, but I see at least a 62% chance that when I post this, none of you are ever going to see it. Well, actually, if you're on not on the podcast app, you're going to be fine. But this is really weird. So you can imagine what a bad day I had yesterday, and I'm still scared. But I think I'm going to do that. I actually been chatting with Bart while I've been listening, and we've decided what I'm going to do. I'm going to go edit that, and I'm going to delete the brand new one. And so people who just got the message that they need to resubscribe will be unsubscribed. It's going to be a disaster. But I think that's where I want to end up. All right, let's turn to the really good news about the changes. One of the biggest things I did. It's all well and good that in theory I'm going to have 2 new clean feeds, one for Programming by Stealth and one for Chit Chat Across the Pond. But what about content for Chit Chat Across the Pond? I don't want to be arranging people, and people are hard, and I'm so resistant to doing that. How have I solved that problem? Here is the best news ever. Adam Engst has agreed to join the family and become a monthly guest on Chit Chat Across the Pond. Adam and I have a delightful time whenever we chat, and I'm sure you've picked up on it when you hear us talk about events like WWDC. He told me that he's been wanting to be a regular podcaster, but he knew that creating the shows was a lot of work. When I suggested to be on the show as a regular, he jumped at the chance. And he's really easy to communicate with. He gets back to me right away. I get back to him right away. We talk. It's great. Now, he loves writing more than anything, and that's what makes him the best guest. His terrific articles for Tidbits will give us a constant source of content for the show. His job will be to look back at the previous month's worth of articles he's written and choose one of them for him and me to read and look. Nope. Fumbled that line. Yeah, this is such good news. I'm so excited. His job. Yes, we're going to talk about chemistry. Thank you. I did save. His job will be to look back at his previous month's worth of articles, choose one of them to have me read before we start recording, and then we can make that the topic of the show. We get along so well, we can just flip on the recorder and go to town on a topic that he's passionate about, and even if we wander off topic, that's okay too. We both love it. Adam being on Chit Chat Across the Pond doesn't preclude me having other guests on the show, but it takes the heat off me to feel like I'm letting you down by not booking guests all the time. Now, if I stopped right here with a solution, it would all make sense. 3 actively recorded shows, NosillaCast, Chit Chat Across the Pond, and Programming by Stealth. But I'm not going to keep it that simple. One of the main things I wanted to do was to figure out a way to lower my workload. This may be a weird idea, but I'm going to put Chit Chat Across the Pond content back into the NosillaCast too. So you'll actually be able to get Chit Chat Across the Pond 2 ways. You just stick around in the NosillaCast, or you subscribe to Chit Chat Across the Pond directly. Now the shows will be a bit more even in length. We'll have Security Bits 2 weeks of the month and Chit Chat Across the Pond 1 week of the month with one normally solo show. Now I hope this arrangement makes sense to you and simplifies things. You still get Bart and Programming by Stealth with a more direct linkage to his tutorial show notes. Security Bits will stay as part of the NosillaCast. You have these 2 ways to get Chit Chat Across the Pond by subscribing directly or by listening to all of the NosillaCast. And we get Adam Angst. Yay! Is that exciting? I didn't get to see, did anybody react to, this is show number 1. Allison, annoy anyone? I can't believe it.
Wow, that's a lot of changes.
Yeah, I am going to change it. Bart texted me while I was listening to the recordings. I'm going to do it. I'm going to change it again.
Don't do it right now.
No, I'm going to wait till I'm done recording, but before I push the show out, I'm going to try to fix it. I don't think anybody's going to be.
We might have like 6 NosillaCasts.
Yeah, might be. Well,
Good.
What if we had, you'll have 2 NosillaCasts and 2 Chit Chats instead of 3 Chit Chats and 1 NosillaCast. And I don't know what's going to be in that feed when I get there. It's probably going to just be all of them. It's called Programming by Stealth and Chit Chat Light and NosillaCast. It's going to be a nightmare. Yeah. So where am I? Changes. All right, group 3. All right. Should I? The show's gone awful long, and this next group,
audio.
You're talking while I'm talking. Hang on,
because I'm hearing audio coming out of your speakers or something, your system audio.
My system is not making any audio, Steve.
Okay.
So if you're hearing
phone?
something, no, there's no noise in my room other than me talking.
All right. Maybe I just heard that.
Okay. Nobody's here. The next one is Sandy Kirshen. Oh, no, Mr. Ed is here.
You bet.
Mr. Ed's still here. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a late show.
Well, you thinking of not playing these?
Well, okay. It's 5:53, and we have 4 more groups to go.
They're good.
Okay, here goes. Get Adam Angst. Too slow. Too short or long of a gap. Adam Angst.
Next, we have inputs from longtime contributor George from Tulsa, Jill from the North Woods, host of the Start with Small Steps and the Buzz, Blossom, and Squeak podcast. That's a repeat. Physics nerd.
Okay. Why? I think it's just grabbing the wrong ones.
It should be group.
Got it.
3.
3. Thanks. Marty told me this is husband Steve. Adam Angst.
Our next group includes Allison's wing woman, Sandy Foster, longtime listener, Kirshen Sia, a longtime friend, Ed Tobias, a.k.a. Mr. Ed in our chat room, longtime friend, Dave Hamilton, host of the Mac Geek Gab, Slough, producer and co-writer of If Every Day Were Christmas, and longtime friend from Belgium, Nightwise.
Hi, this is Sandy Foster, and I want to congratulate Allison on her 1000th episode. What an achievement! I've been listening to the NosillaCast for many years and look forward to each week's live show. Allison has created a true community of listeners and is inspiring and generous with her knowledge. I'm so pleased to be able to say that Allison is not only an inspiration to me as to so many, but she's also a much cherished personal friend. Congratulations, Allison.
Hi, Alison, Kershon here. Congratulations on your 1000th episode. Here's wishing you many more to come as you tell us about technology with that ever so slight Apple bias. All the best.
Hi all, Ed Tobias here, also known as NosillaCastaway Mr. Ed. I have known Steve and Allison since the early 1980s. I believe Bart was just being born then. Fortunately, we lost touch over the years, and while searching for Mac podcasts to listen to, I stumbled across one with a slight Apple bias. Through the podcast, we rekindled our friendship and discovered common infatuation with the Mac. Since then, we have shared dinners and peanut butter whiskey and quite a few tech playdates. I'm so happy I found the Podfeed podcast, and then it led to a reconnection with some dear old friends. Here's to another 1,000 episodes.
Hey, Allison and Steve and everybody out there in Podfeet NosillaCast land. Happy 1000th episode. It's Dave Hamilton from Mac Geek Gab, and I know we hit our 1000th episode before you, but you started doing this whole thing before us, so I think you still retain bragging rights to that. So amazing. It's been such a pleasure getting to listen to the show and really getting to call you and Steve friends. That means the world to me, and I am so stoked to see you hit quadruple digits and beyond. So have fun and keep up that Macintosh bias, keep up that Apple bias, and don't get caught.
Hi, Allison Slough here. Congratulations on your 1000th episode. I can't believe it. I remember almost 20 years ago when I first started listening to podcasts, yours was among the first that I subscribed to. I can't believe we're 1,000 episodes in. That is fantastic. And listen, even though I subscribe to a ton of podcasts, I have an ever so slight bias toward yours. Congratulations.
Hi, Allison. Hey, Steve. This is Nightwise calling to congratulate you on your millennial episode recording. I just want to take the time and thank you for your contributions to podcasting over the last years, delivering consistent and high-quality content shows, 1,000 episodes in a row. From the dawn of podcasting, you have always been a consistent source of well-researched Apple content that was only ever so slightly biased. In my quest for the source of the NosillaCast success, I have often wondered just what it is that makes this show tick and rack up 1,000 successful episodes. Is it the insightful, intelligent, and well-researched content? Is it the highly professional production quality? Is it the wide range of topics that somehow still stick around the central theme? Or is it the gracious, talented host with her unwavering sidekick? All of these elements have been crucial, I'm sure, but what makes it really special? I think I have found the secret element of the Nosilla sauce that has boosted this show's listenership around the globe and even onto the communication consoles of many ships in the Imperial Klingon Defense Force. It is the intermittent addition of Belgians. Yes, throughout the community, the content and the travels of the Nosilla entourage, Belgium and its charmful inhabitants always seem to be present in some shape or form. Whether this be Bart's insightful work, Peter and Stefan's editions, the rantings of yours truly, or things like Stoffley's chocolate and Stephen's Gluck. The country whose national symbol is an underage naked boy taking a wee in front of hundreds of Chinese tourists has been a pivotal element to the NosillaCast success. So in name of all my fellow countrymen inhabiting the nation that American thinks is an airport, that has a cheese that is older than the American Constitution, and it hosts the greatest concentration of NosillaCast fans, I truly say, congratulations, Allison and Steve.
So he refers to the national symbol as a little boy taking a wee in the pool.
That's
And
real.
He gave me one. But I don't want to lose my clean tag. I'm not going to show it to you.
I remember
I used to have it on the mantle back here.
I remember when we visited him and the whole group, and he took us to the statue that was actually peeing, and there were a big crowd around it. Everyone's gawking at it.
Well,
it's their national statue, apparently.
It's everywhere. I mean, there's little ones, medium-sized, big ones, giant ones. One's made out of cake. One's made out of chocolate. They're everywhere. It's the most ridiculous thinking. Who hasn't weed during a podcast? Oh, that's good. Okay, so group 4.
Mm-hmm.
And now when Steve was just referring to when we met the whole group, one of the people that we met up with in the list of Belgians is Peter Boots, and we have a recording from Peter Boots coming up when Ian Prinsend in here too.
Yes.
And I hope Lindsay's still listening because
still here.
Uncle Ron is going to be in this one.
Yep.
Here we go.
And Steve.
In this group, we have inputs from Allison's tech advisor, Stephen Getz, friend from Belgium, Peter Boots, longtime listener, Ian Princeton, frequent contributor, Thomas Maddock, and good buddy, Ron Birch.
1,000 episodes. I don't remember when I first started listening, but I'm sure it was double digits. The work you've put into making such a consistently good show, filled with useful knowledge, is much appreciated by the community that is built up around your show. I loved finally meeting you and Steve last year. I look forward to your shows and your community for many more years to come. This has been Stephen Getz from Canada offering thanks and congratulations on 1,000 episodes.
Hi, Alison. It is amazing. I still can't believe it. 1,000 NosillaCast episodes for us to listen to. Every episode filled with the new tech stuff, things to be solved, and even dumb questions. I've been a listener for almost the beginning, I guess, and even was on the show once long ago. In the past years, I got to learn about your children growing up, having grandchildren, a cute dog, and your car, of course. Wax on, wax off. We've met in person in Belgium together with Joe and Saskia, not one but 2 times, first in Antwerp, my hometown, and a few years later in Brussels to taste those famous waffles, amongst other things. I found out that you and Stephen are as nice in person as you are in the virtual world. I don't know if I should wish you another 1,000 podcasts, but anyway, have fun with an ever so slight apple bias. Greetings from Belgium.
Hi, Allison. Longtime listener Ian Princeton here to wish you congratulations on hitting 1,000 episodes. It would have been great to say I've been here since the beginning, but I learned about the NosillaCast in the teen episodes, back when I couldn't find anyone who knew what a podcast was. Each week, I loaded you on my Rio MP3 player with 128 meg of space, along with Tim Burporton, Adam Christensen, and 1 or 2 others that went by the wayside. I've enjoyed being part of the NosillaCastaways Castaways and appreciate how you welcomed and encouraged Daniel when he was just 11 years old. Of course, your encouragement of Daniel cost me 2 tickets in a hotel for MacStock back in 2017, but we finally got to meet face-to-face after 11 years of email correspondence. It's amazing you and Steve have kept and grown this fun community for 1,000 episodes and 19 years. So today we're celebrating you for having the bravery to pick up a microphone for 1,000 times, for finding and sharing information, and being the heart of a worldwide community that looks forward to getting our weekly dose of Apple bias. Cheers and happy feet!
Hello, Allison and everyone. This is Thomas calling with you from New Hampshire. Just wanting to chime in on the momentous occasion of this episode. And thank you to Steve for putting this all together. I appreciate Allison's willingness to talk about the blindness part of apps and testing out accessibility things and telling the app makers and website designers when they've possibly overlooked an accessibility something or other, and being willing to test it out for us and showing them how maybe to fix it. And it's greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Keep up the good work.
Hello, everybody. This is Ron Birch coming to you live from SoFi Stadium in sunny Southern California, where we've gathered over 50,000 fans to salute podcasting pioneer Allison Sheridan on the day of her 1,000th NosillaCast. From the day she picked up her first microphone to today's incredible live shows, Allison has grown the NosillaCast to become a global beacon of community, fun, and information. with just an ever so slight Apple bias. Congratulations, Allison, on your incredible 1,000 show run as we look forward to NosillaCast's future. Back to you, Steve.
That was produced. I
That is
don't
so
think
fun-
he was actually at SoFi Stadium.
No, he said that
maybe
he said that in the background, if you listen closely, the crowd is yelling, Allison, Allison. So that's all his voice, all that stuff going on. Wow. Okay, so let's see. Group number 5 before I'm allowed to talk.
Yes.
I'm going to sneak in because, Lindsay, you're going to get to your Mimir. Your Mimir. Let's see. So this is who's in here. Okay, none of these people are here. You still want to hear them all.
Yes, especially Steve's at the end.
Okay. So Steve Harris, remember I mentioned Steve Harris? He's the developer of Feeder, and he is literally the most sarcastic, snarkiest person I've ever met.
More
we have
than
met
you.
him in person.
More than you, maybe.
By a factor of 3. He is so obnoxious. He's the one that actually put in his about page for Feeder. He actually, I'll plop it in while we're playing, but he actually put something really funny in his about page.
Back to you, Steve.
Now for feedback from longtime friend Victor Cahill, host of the Typical Mac User podcast, longtime friend and master dessert maker listener Lynn, friend from Australia Trevor Dover, fellow podcaster Joe Duganzik, Bruce Wilson, a.k.a. Use the Data in our chat room, and Steve Harris, creator of Allison's beloved feeder and master of snark.
Hey, Allison, Victor Cahill. Congratulations on 1,000 shows. You are just an example of a person who's willing to give so much. Your thoroughness, your passion for getting things correct and teaching a wide variety of people with a wide variety of experience is just contagious. Thank you so much for everything you've done for the Mac community. Thank you for being a friend of mine. You and Steve are dear friends, and I hope that the next 1,000 shows are just as successful and insightful as the last 1,000. Congrats!
Greetings from listener Lynn. I had the pleasure of getting to know Allison in real life well before she started podcasting. After we bought our first Mac in the 90s, we joined our company user group where we met Allison and Steve. After many years, Allison and I even worked in the same department, and we have stayed in touch since retiring. If I remember correctly, engineer Allison wasn't so sure about STEM becoming STEAM, but I think her artistic side shows in all her podcasts. She shares useful information, crazy stories, and has formed connections with a wide and supportive community. So congratulations on 1,000 episodes, and I look forward to many more.
This is Trevor from the Australian Capital Territory. I've been with Alison for most of her 1,000 episode journey. I was intrigued by this interesting character that had a regular guest spot on Tim Verporten's podcast, so I subscribed and haven't missed an episode since. I had the opportunity to meet Allison and Steve when they visited Australia in 2012 and had a fabulous evening with them. Congratulations and thank you both for all that you do for those of us with an ever so slight Apple bias.
Hey Allison, it's Joe Duganzik formerly of Smarter Home Life. 1,000 shows? Well, number one, congratulations. That is a major accomplishment and way more episodes and shows than I had ever done in my own podcasting career. Although I would say, and maybe this is cliche to say, Podfeet doesn't look a day over 100. But your podcasting skills, of course, certainly have been enhanced and refined over the years. But one thing I would say about your show and everything that you do is your level of detail, research is unmatched. It's stayed incredibly consistent and perhaps grown over the years. I think it's unmatched around the tech podcast world. So keep up the great work. And here's to your next 1,000 shows. Congratulations again.
Hi, this is Bruce from East Tennessee, also known as Use the Data. Congratulations to Allison for reaching 1,000 episodes and for the community that you've built. What's the problem to be solved is now a regular part of my thought process. I've learned things about how to explain technology and better consider technology from the perspective of different backgrounds and abilities. I've made new friends, and I've gotten to learn from their insights. And I've probably bought a few things I might not have otherwise. So thanks for all of that, and I look forward to the next 1,000 episodes. Peace, and may all continue to find beauty in the world around us.
1,000! You don't look a day over 999. Congratulations on meeting this tremendous milestone. That's persistence for you. Mind, we're still waiting for your mother's prediction to come true. Anyway, I know I speak on behalf of developers everywhere when I say, take a break. You deserve it. A few months, a few years, a single day. Just stop with emails, okay? Just for one day.
Okay, did I tell you? Did I tell you he was snarky?
Just for one day.
So when we were we went to a tweet up in Liverpool to meet Don McAllister, and he gathered a bunch of people together, and one of them was Steve Harris, and I talked to him a lot, and I found out he had driven 3 hours to get to the event, and I said, I can't believe you drove 3 hours to see me, and he said, I didn't, I came to see Don. So I'm going to do a little thing here.
Context for your the
context
comment?
for what he said. Yeah. All right.
Well,
Email's okay. Just
what?
You might want to repeat what his comment was.
I have
You
it.
got it. You got it.
If you read what it says, you got the notes right there.
For one day.
Okay. I can't let that one go. I know I said I was going to hold my thoughts to the end, but anyway, you may be wondering what Steve was talking about when he said, we're still waiting for your mother's prediction to come true. This is a really deep pull. In 2013, my mother, affectionately referred to around these parts as the pod mom, came on the show to review an accessibility tool she was enjoying. It happened to be Mother's Day, and she ended the conversation with a level of snark that might even be higher than Steve Harris's. I'm going to play that for you right now. Now, to give you guys an idea of how long ago this was. Oh, come on. Okay, copy didn't work. Good grief. Hang on. I got to make this copy really quick. I did this copy one time. This is what the icon on this downloaded file looks like. All right, I'm going to drop mom in right here for you right now.
So I want to say hello to all of you.
A little quick. For you right now.
So I want to say hello to all of you, and I know you all have had good mommies because you listen to Allison. And just continue to listen to her. Someday she's going to get it right.
All right, Mom, I think on that note, I'm going to just cut you off. Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, dear, you don't like my words of wisdom. Goodbye, sweetie.
Bye-bye.
Love you all.
Yeah,
Isn't that great?
was Jean.
Yep.
That's great.
That was Lindsay's grandmother. Let's see.
Goodbye, sweetie.
Bye-bye.
Love you all.
Well, Mother, thank you for the encouragement and support. All right, back to Steve. Not Steve Harris. All right, we are up to group 6. Oh, wait, no, you're on the wrong track. You go here, Steve. And that is group 6. Pilot Pete's in this group.
Yeah. He'll finish it off, at least for this group.
Yeah. Right, back to Steve.
Our next group includes friend from New Zealand, Alistair Jenks, a.k.a. Zcarge in our chat room, our CES buddy, Steve Ewell, head of the CTA Foundation, Bruce, a.k.a. Noble Songster, friend from Germany and CEO of Boink Software, Oliver Breidenbach, and friend Pilot Pete, co-host of the Mac Geek Gab.
Hi, it's Alistair Jenks from New Zealand. When Steve made the call for submissions for the 1000th episode, he said of Alison, she has produced a NosillaCast podcast episode every week without missing a beat. Speaking as a person who has directed 1% of those episodes, I can attest that the total amount of effort Alison and Steve have invested in this community is simply enormous. We are lucky to share in something that is not so much a podcast with a community as a community with a podcast.
Hey Allison, it's Steve Ewell. Big congratulations to you and Steve on reaching 1,000 episodes. That's a major milestone. I listen every week and look forward to seeing you each year at CES. And your slight Apple bias might be rubbing off on me. I just picked up my first Mac since System 7 way back in the 90s. So congrats again, and I look forward to listening to many, many more.
Hi, Allison, Steve, and Bart. Thank you to each one of you for your effort, knowledge, and passion for this podcast and this entire community. Allison has led and turned a desire to share what she has learned by annoying her friends, coworkers, and family into a world-renowned media empire of doom, trademark Donald Burr, that we all benefit from and enjoy, even though it costs us money from time to time. We enjoy hearing about her endeavors to wrangle technology and her accounts of talking with, quote, my new little friend on the phone in a support role, and how she winds her way through trying to solve a problem, even though sometimes there isn't one. Mac Pro with battery drain is an example. Allison, thank you for all that you have done and continue to do for all of us. It was very memorable and enjoyable meeting you here in Dallas, and I hope to be able to meet you in person again someday. Steve has been a mostly silent partner working behind the scenes, but his contribution is almost as significant as Allison's. From the editing of content, periodic reviews, and who can forget the yearly reading of The Night Before Christmas. I truly love that and look forward to it every year with a sad reminder that Honda Bob is no longer with us. Thank you, Steve, for all your hard work and contributions to this worthwhile endeavor. Bart is the technical ocean of knowledge in this podcast. How can we get by without the weekly security bits and programming by stealth, not counting his Let's Talk Apple and Let's Talk Photography podcasts? Your depth, breadth, and deep understanding of so many technical topics is amazing. And this is coming from a guy with a BS degree in computer science and a 40-plus year career in IT. I wish Security Bits was at the end of every show every week because I get so much out of this part of the show. I listen to quite a few podcasts, but this is one of my top two that are on the top of my list of most desired to listen to. The other one getting the top spot Monday through Friday being Ken Ray's macOS Ken. I'm sure we are all very grateful for everything you do and wish all of you the very best.
Hi, Alison. Congratulations on 1,000 episodes of NosillaCast from me and the Boeing software team. It has been a pleasure to interact with you and Steve over what now must be decades since we first met. I hope the 1,000 episodes count for your step counter so that you stay healthy and fit for the next 1,000.
Allison! Pilot Pete here. Congratulations on the monumental milestone of 1,000 consecutive NosillaCast episodes without missing a beat. Or a week. Look, here's to 1,000 weeks of tech reviews sharper than a new Apple Pencil, software tutorials clearer than a freshly cleaned screen, and problem-solving skills that make MacGyver look unprepared. Your dedication not only keeps the tech world spinning, but also ensures everyone can hop on for a ride, no matter their ability. Thanks for making can't a word we only use when we run out of coffee. Look, here's to 1,000 more fantastic episodes of geekery, and the best part about this show is by listening to it, I got to meet you, and I have a new friend. What could be better than that? God bless you. Keep it going.
All right, that's great. Yeah, that's right. We did meet Pete. Not as often as we should. I think you probably fly through LA a lot more times than you're telling us.
Well,
like, oh,
those
God,
are the quick stopovers where he doesn't have much time.
Yeah, we met him at a local restaurant and sipped an
Manhattan
adult
Beach.
beverage together.
Yes, we did. Well, I don't know if he was sipping an adult beverage.
Oh, that's right. He was probably flying. We were.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, he came to the house as well.
Oh,
All
that's right. Last one.
Last one.
Last group.
Bless you. Keep it going.
Our final input is a bit longer, so I didn't group it with anyone else. This feedback is from Mike Rose and Kelly Gumont, hosts of the After Show podcast.
Hey, everybody. I'm Mike Rose, and I'm joined by my podcasting partner in crime, Kelly Gumont, and we are the After Show. And we're so thrilled to celebrate, in a very small way, the 1,000th NosillaCast. That is,
My
first of all,
goodness.
insane. I mean, Kelly and I have been doing this more or less since the late 2000-ish period.
Yes, the late aughts.
And we're nowhere near 1,000 episodes. It's insane.
I mean, to be fair, we are not, literal weapons grade engineers who are trying to do this either. So,
I think
we do not have that going for us, unlike some people.
Well, I'll share my experience of Allison. She always impressed me as someone who had her act together. And that was before I got to know her a little bit. So I was familiar with her work. I was familiar with the show back in the day, and then got to meet her at Macworld, and then got to hang out with her at Macstock. And in addition to being incredibly smart and incredibly capable and organized and compelling and informative, she also is an incredibly sweet and inclusive and funny person. And if she wasn't so nice, it would be terribly annoying. But she's delightful. she's just
Yes.
and she goes the extra mile to help keep people included in her work. And I think that is magical. And so I am thrilled to celebrate this milestone. And KG, you've known Allison, I think, longer than I have.
I think so. I think we became known associates at Macworld. I still aspire to Allison's level of, I'm not sure this is a word, poop in a groupedness, because I don't think on my best day I've ever been as together as Allison on her worst day, and I am always in awe of that. I mean, that's only a small fraction of why we're hitting 4 digits worth of episodes here. Allison is also the other thing I love about Allison is she definitely has a tendency toward mischief. Not evil, mischief. Occasionally can lead to hijinks, possibly an escapade, if you play your cards right. So I've had several such events with Allison, from going on stage at Macstock to help her hitch up her pants because the battery pack was dragging down the back of them. So
I witnessed this.
Yes,
I remember witnessing this.
I have been live on the internet hitching up her pants like a pro, I'd like to add. And I think someone made a gif of it later. But also just in the inclusivity and the noting of, I always felt like I got a lot of encouragement for not being your standard issue tech person, much like Allison is not your standard issue tech person. And we always have a good time together, and she's always willing to be she will always happily be the first person to say, do you want to sit with us? What do you think about the thing that we're talking about that you walked up on? Or, we were walking and came by you, and you are a person who will have opinions about this, so I want to ask you about it. And, it's really not honestly all that different from when you see live interviews with Allison when she's talking to other people. She's always super interested in other people and their deal and what they have to say, and is also interested in making sure that everyone can see or hear or experience whatever it is in whatever way is easiest for them, which is another thing that I always really appreciate about her. And she's helped me up my own accessibility game as a result of that. So I very much appreciate all of that. I appreciate all of the beverages we have consumed together over time. She's been in town a couple of times to visit other people, and and I've ended up getting to meet up with her, and we always have a blast. And I just really, and I love listening to the show, and I very much appreciate everything that she does to not only put her own view out into the world, but to make sure that lots of other people get an avenue where maybe they didn't before. And she makes building the Podfeet community look effortless, which I also just am really impressed with, because I know how hard that is to do.
Yeah.
And not only is it hard to do, it's hard to maintain, and then it's hard to make it look effortless. And she just makes it look effortless.
I think that's the word we're looking for, grace, and making it look effortless, knowing that she's working incredibly hard to make all those things happen. So, Allison, we adore you. Congratulations on this milestone. And thank you for everything you do for the Mac community and the Podfeet community. You are the best. Congratulations on 1,000 shows.
Congrats.
1,000.
That one really surprised me. I didn't know they loved me. All right. Gonna close this out. And then we're gonna add security bits. But you don't get to listen to that too.
Community, you are the best. Congratulations on 1,000 shows.
Congrats.
Well, that one really surprised me, and I'm just blushing here. I have so many emotions and thoughts going in my head from all these wonderful contributions, from the serious to the silly, from the genuine to the snarky. I loved every single one of them. Now, the most prevalent thread seems to be the feeling of community. Starting the live show many years ago seems to have been kind of the catalyst for so many NosillaCastaways getting to know each other, not just getting to know me and Steve. The Slack community is also a very powerful way that we've been able to bring people together, and new friendships are forming there. It's also interesting how many of those who contributed content to today's show we've ended up meeting in person at some time along the line. Now, there's a few stragglers left, but I intend to meet you all eventually. I know Bruce used the data, almost made it to MacStock last year and got COVID on the plane on his way there. So he's going to be there this year, so we'll check another one off our list. Now, for the 99% of you out there who sit quietly and politely listening to the content we produce here, or possibly just yelling at their podcatchers, but I never get to hear from you, thank you for listening and subscribing too. I love that we heard from people who live in my own neighborhood, people all across the United States, and people from countries across the world. And these testimonials remind me that I have so many genuine friends because of the podcast. And we may not be able to get to go out for a refreshment together, but we talk nerdy tech, we have some laughs, and we take care of each other when things aren't going well. I can tell you, I feel very loved right now. If that was your goal, you achieved it with flying colors.
Well said.
All right, now I want to thank the people who pay me, the real fans.
That's a good juxtaposition there.
I'm not going to say that. Oh, at the conference. Yeah, I was winging that one. Well, on this day of celebration, I want to just take a pause and thank all of the people who have supported the show financially over the years. Whether you still support the show now, or if you felt it best for you to drop off, that money went a long way towards helping to pay for things like software and microphones and database web servers. It's also gone a long way towards showing me your appreciation for the work we do here. All right. I did not pull the security bits link. That's what you're noticing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me, let's see, blog posts and security bits and that, and quit that and go back to this and then go over here. You know, all my automation's all weird now with the new show layouts.
I can imagine.
All right. Okay. Security bits. Oh, jingle. Did I do a chapter mark yet? No, I didn't. That's what I was going to do.
What's that little purple dot?
That's for support the show.
Oh, you put a chapter.
Got to see a new one there.
Got it.
And copy link. Save, save, save. Will do. Got to go. All right. Looking forward to the post next month. All right. Let's see. Security bits. Oh, the jingle. So right now we're going to use the security bits jingle for programming by stealth. We're going to see how that works out. And then I got to do Allison and Bart. And Option T. Option T. Let's see, move those both over. No, I wanted to do these two. Move you maybe like that. Do you want to hear the plink?
Always.
Blink. There you go. All right, and then get rid of Bart on me and me on Bart. You'll see there's no Bart talking because I say nice things about him, but he is not comfortable being praised.
No, he's not.
I think
he claims that's cultural.
Yeah, he says all Irish people feel that way. Slide over here so I can see those line up. Let's see, how does that look? No, that's too... Come on. No, I'm hitting the wrong keys. Ooh, I didn't say to do that. Let's slide you like right there. We do here. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Security Bits with Bart Busschots. But before we get started, I'm not going to let him get a word in edgewise, because I want to take a moment to just recognize Bart for how absolutely integral he has been to the NosillaCast getting to 1,000 episodes. I'm not sure if you guys realize, but it's not just that he does Security Bits and Programming by Stealth and Taming the Terminal and Chit Chat Across the Pond. He's my constant source of inspiration to become the best nerd I can be. And he's there in so many crises for me, both of a technical nature and in my personal life. He's one of my very best friends in the world, and you absolutely would not be listening to NosillaCast today if it weren't for him. So thank you, Bart.
You're welcome, and now I'm all blushing, but people can't see, so that's all good. Well, I mean, it's funny because I think it's a very, I think we're very simpatico with each other, because you helped me be a better nerd, because my tendency before I met you was to always blame the tech and never blame myself. And you have taught me that when you work at it the opposite way around, you may end up in the same place. The tech may actually be broken, but if you start from the point of view of it's me, not it, at least when you do get cranky, you've earned it.
Well, and you realize that it's kind of delightful when you find out you're the one who messed up, because you're a lot easier to fix than convincing some developer to change their source code.
Well, that is also true. And I guess the other really big thing, right? You and I are kind of opposites, because I'm very much an introvert and you're very much an extrovert. And so I could never run a community. I tried. I'm terrible at it. It's just not my thing. Whereas you feed off a community. So you have made this amazing community in the NosillaCastaways. Hello, all of you listening. Like, you guys absolutely rock. And I just get to come along and enjoy the community. And I enjoy that oh so very, very much. And, you know, I don't know what I'd be doing without yourself and Steve and our work together, but I know I'd be less.
That's great. That's great. Well, I think, you know, it's never like a pull for us to get together. You know, neither one of us is like, come on, let's record, or can we talk about this? It's all whatever the other one wants to talk about. The other one's like, sure, that sounds great. If you're passionate about it, then I am. And I think that's why it's lasted, because there's never, I don't know, it's work, but it's not effort. Does that make sense?
I was going to put it exactly the opposite way. There's effort involved, but it doesn't feel like work.
I guess that's sort of the same thing. Yeah, it's not something you don't want to do. It's something you get pleasure out of doing the work. You know, it's good to do.
I mean, I don't know what, I just can't imagine not trying to, you know, collate and pare down the security news, or sharing whatever cool nerdy thing I want to talk about on Chit Chat Across the Pond or Programming Myself, whatever. I just can't imagine not being able to do that. I think I'd be really frustrated. I think I'd be really cranky if I didn't. I mean, you described that when you set up the podcast, that you were annoying people by talking about nerdy stuff, and then you set up a podcast. Well, you're my outlet for that too.
So the people in the grocery store thank you for having this outlet. Otherwise, be going, hey, look at this watch band I got. It's really neat.
I think my husband probably more than anyone else.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, this is certainly been a really fun show for me. We're winding up the Love Fest, but it couldn't go by without thanking you for your contribution. And several people have just described what they see in the show and the contributions you make. So thank you, Bart. Now depress us with some terrible security news. There, did I say happy 1,000? Several people have just described what they see in the show and the contributions you make. So thank you, Bart. Now depress us. I guess I only said thank you. All right.
That's fine. I think you said good words.
All right, good. I promised Alan I would say happy 1,000th. Talk to you again next time.
Indeed. And until then, folks, remember to stay patched so you stay secure.
Hour and 51 minutes. All right. Well, that is going to wind us up for this monumental week. I want to thank everybody for this. It's just been a great time for me. Don't forget, you can email me at allison@podfeet.com anytime you like. Like all of these people you heard talking about us, they did that, and they could talk to us, contributed, and got involved, and that's why everybody's having such a good time. If you have questions or suggestions, just send it on over. Remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com. You can follow me on Mastodon at podfeet.com/Mastodon. If you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube, you can go to podfeet.com/YouTube. If you want to join the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfeet.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely NosillaCast castaways. You can support the show by going to podfeet.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation, podfeet.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, you're going to have to wait until July 21st to head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCast castaways. Thanks for listening, and thanks for 1,000 shows. Ha!
But don't stay subscribed?
Nope. Nobody's subscribed. I've wrecked the feed. They're never going to hear this.
Well, you had a good run.
It was a good run. And thanks for 1,000 shows.
Stay resubscribed.
All right. We are a wrap.
I don't think we should even do chapter count. Let's just let people go and we'll do this stuff on the side.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, they've been here quite a long time.
I wonder how many people are going to think, hey, maybe she quit at 1,000.
Yeah.
No, I quit at $9.99. That's the best part. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming. We will go through and do I'll just make sure that there's 1 through 7 in there, and I think that'll be good enough. And security bits will be good. Yep. All right, everybody. Goodbye. Goodbye, Rose. 1, 2.